So today's topic is going to really center around a free resource and website that FSU offers. We had a very engaged donor who wanted to make sure that there was some free information for parents about successful co-parenting. The actual title says After Divorce, but as you will see, successful co-parenting after parents break up, because we have a lot of couples who are never married, is just as relevant today. So what I want to do is I want to start with when you think about what is successful co-parenting, just kind of think in your head how you would kind of summarize that. What does that mean to you? Does it mean, some people say, it means kind of getting on with our lives, protecting the kids. Just, think about how you might characterize successful co-parenting. And at FSU, we have sort of boiled everything down to two concepts, and they are increasing cooperation and decreasing conflict, right? So that makes it kind of easy when you think about it. That's what we want to do in any healthy co-parenting relationship for the benefit of the parents and the children. So what this site looks like is coparenting.fsu.edu. And you'll have to look it up. I'm looking at the dash between co and parenting. I don't know that there's a dash. That might be my mistake. Coparenting.fsu.edu, and it was approved by DCF, who approves co-parenting courses in Florida, both in 2016 and then reapproved in 2023, last year. It is a timed course and it is online. So if you're a professional listening to this, I'm just giving you a little warning that you can't just kind of click all the way through the training. It is required in order to meet the criteria of a court-approved co-parenting course. It is timed, but it is a wonderful resource. It takes 4 hours for parents to get through modules 1, 2, and 3. But we also have a wonderful module that's not timed, that's on trauma and resilience. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So the training modules, when you go into this very interactive course that you can watch on your phone, or you can watch on your laptop or your iPad, it includes substantive information that's required by DCF, right? That's required to be in any co-parenting course. Let me back up a minute and just let you know that in Florida, as in many other, but not all states, when two people are getting a divorce and they have minor children together, they are required by the court, before the divorce is finalized, to take some sort of co-parenting course, right? And so FSU offers this because we know how many families you work with who can't afford to put out extra money for a co-parenting course. Sorry, that's the timed lights that we have in our offices. Again, we're all resilient, right? We all just keep on going. It also includes some practical tools and handouts, not just for the parents, but for you when you're working with parents. So we talk about an introduction to divorce and co-parenting. We talk about skills and strategies. And then we talk about things like self-care and transitions, step families, step parents, blended families, and we talk about safety. So those are sort of the core components that we started with in 2018. And then we started realizing that just as everybody who's on this call understands, there are so many individuals and families who have experienced trauma across the lifespan that we needed to put in some additional resources on trauma and resilience. And you're going to get a little taste of those shortly. This is what the course kind of looks like on the inside. What we do is we talk to parents about divorce. We talk about the importance of co-parenting right up front. And we talk about the effects of divorce, common effects of divorce that's cited in the research, right? The effects on parents and the effects on children. And then we also talk about Florida law, because there are so many considerations that are wrapped around Florida law, especially in divorce, and then even in the sharing, the time sharing of children for people who haven't been married but have children in common. And there are, this training is packed with videos. I'm not going to be able to show you all of them, but you may have clients, I know that it's going to take some time. If you wanted to go through the entire course, it's going to take you, several hours, but there may be videos that you say, oh, I have a client that needs to see this. That's the one video that I'm not showing you that you actually can see on the screen is about a father, since Al started off with the importance of fatherhood, a father's own reaction to his divorce and the struggle that he had. So, in adjusting to the new reality in his life. So there is a lot about emotions, because we have to understand that breaking up is an emotional process, and having children means that there's always going to be that contact between mom and dad, right? That is always going to be these parents are always going to be revolving around the same circles because of their shared children. And now I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to show you a video. We actually spoke to young adults whose parents had divorced when they were kids, and we asked them to share their thoughts on how to keep your kids, how you might want to keep your kids, viewers' kids, out of the middle of the divorce. And Al and Sandy, I'm just going to assume that this volume is going to work. Al, you can give me a thumbs up and make sure.
You want them to see a healthy relationship. It'll really make the world of a difference. Big events such as graduations, weddings, birthdays, make sure that your kids don't feel the strain of your divorce. Make them feel comfortable, make them feel loved, make that day about them.
Don't use your child as leverage against the other parent. I think that sets a bad example for the kids, that they'll form an opinion about a parent that might not necessarily be true.
Make sure that I know that it's not my fault, that the problems between you and your ex aren't on me, and I don't put the blame on myself.
Don't be upset if I enjoy spending certain holidays with my mother more than with you. You don't have to compensate for it just because you don't understand my tastes and interests the way that she does.
Don't jump into new relationships right away. If you get remarried, make sure that this is the one. My parents got divorced when I was really young, and the second divorce hurt me a lot more than the first one.
I think one of the most important things is to just respect each other. If you respect each other, it's easier to respect other people that are around you. And the fact that my parents respected each other a lot really had a huge effect on our relationship.
Don't talk negatively about your ex in front of your children. You want to make sure that your children are still able to form their own opinions because it's still their parent.
Working through your differences so you only need to have one party instead of having two separate birthday parties.
Be civil around your children. One Thanksgiving, my parents both had it together after they were divorced. It was probably one of the best Thanksgiving we had together.
don't talk bad to each other in front of me. Makes things more difficult if I have to have mom versus dad and choose sides and who's right or wrong. Just makes everybody unhappy, and I'd really rather not have a competition. Both love me equally, just show it.
When you find someone new in your life, don't make it obvious that they're more important than us.
My parents never lied to me when I asked them questions about their divorce, and thanks to that, I never had any misconceptions that they were going to get back together, but I also knew that they both still cared about each other. Their honesty helped me deal with the process.
Do keep your problems away from your children. If you're having a fight, I don't wanna know any part of it. Just keep it away from your children and it'll be fine.
Reassure the kids that it's not their fault.
So just make sure to, keep the love in your family. That's all kids want really, is love from their parents.
Don't get mad at me if I don't like the person you're dating right away. It's a weird situation and I need some time to get used to it and to get used to this new person in your life.
Don't involve me in the money transactions between each of you.
Don't make an assumption about how I'm gonna feel about your divorce. Let me figure it out and support me in my own way.
If you don't live with the child, make sure that you're making every effort you can to communicate and not give up, even if it's difficult dealing with the other parent.
Don't talk about the problems that you have with your ex in front of your children.
Don't let your kids lose hope in relationships just because yours didn't work out.
My mom and my dad don't speak directly to each other, so my mom would tell me to tell my dad something, or my sister and I were constantly being told to tell the other parent something, and that really put a strain on us being the middleman in the relationship.
When going through a divorce, don't ever argue in front of your children.
So put all your energy into co-parenting, no matter how difficult it may be. That's really important. And that was important to me, to see my parents get along and just communicate. So if something was going on with me, if I was sick or not, it was important for my mother to communicate that with my father.
My parents never made me feel guilty about going to see the other. It was always an easy transition to go from one house to the other. And both homes felt like home.
Okay. And I'm not sure if you all found that very powerful, but we found it very powerful when we were recording these kids. And we have had families who have watched that video and parents who have watched that video and who've said, wow, right? Like this is a very big deal. We don't want to be those parents that the kids are talking about, saying, don't argue in front of me. We should know better. So hopefully, if this is a video that you want to show your clients, it will have much more of an impact than you simply saying, don't do this, right? I mean, having it actually from the child can be a much more powerful experience. All right. Now, module 2 is skills and strategies for co-parenting, right? So it's like how to have that successful, low conflict, high cooperation relationship, co-parenting relationship. And it begins with how to communicate with your children about divorce, because it can be something that a parent may entangle their own emotions into. And what we really want is we really want parents to be thinking always about the impact on the kids. So it's skills and strategies. And then we have our positive and negative. So I know that when the announcement of this training came out, it says do's and don'ts, right? It says do's and don'ts. So we do have a do and don't session. So sorry, guys. So sorry. Okay, here we go. All right, and Al, you can't see the gallery on your screen, right? The gallery that is, it's not blocking the actual, okay, thank you. Thank you. Here we go.
What time is it? And what time were you supposed to? This is getting really old.
Didn't I?
You know he's gonna be late for practice. He's not even gonna have time for his snack. Mom, I'm not hungry. Go on upstairs and get ready for practice. We've gotta leave in 10 minutes.
Now, how am I supposed to get here early and remember the time when you keep changing them?
You have a phone. Learn to use it. Put the time in your phone or write it on a calendar. You always manage to mess up the time and get him here late. You think I don't know that you're getting extra days with him?
Extra time? You talking about last week when he was sick? That wasn't extra time.
Yes, it is. You got an extra day with him and we need to settle that. I want extra time with him this week.
He was throwing up and sleeping the entire time. Okay, that is not an extra day. And we wouldn't even be talking about time if you didn't have him in extra activities. I mean, every time I look around, he's in karate, jujitsu, breakdancing, tennis, jai-alai, you name it. I mean, come on, all I'm doing is driving him around everywhere.
Oh, boo-hoo, poor you. I guess you have to be a father to your own son. Well, welcome to my world.
Oh, are you serious? So you're the good parent? I don't think so. You don't even spend time with him. All you do is drive him from one club to another association to a basketball event. It's ridiculous.
If you took the time to talk to your son, you would know that he loves those activities. Anyway, the structure is good for him.
Structure, like keeping him up all hours of the night, right? That kind of structure. You know, he fights me to go to bed before midnight. And I caught him the other night on his phone at 2 a.m. on a school night.
Listen, what is going on here is your fault. Who is it that got us into this mess? So, you're pathetic. Do you know that? If you cared about being a father, none of this would have ever happened. You can't even deal with the consequences.
Consequences? Don't talk to me about consequences, Yolanda. You're the one that wanted the divorce in the first place. So you can't have it both ways. Mom, because
Going upstairs, get ready for practice. We're leaving in 10 minutes.
thanks for agreeing to talk. Who wants to go first? Doesn't matter to me.
Thanks. Can we talk about being on time? You were supposed to be here 15 minutes earlier.
I thought we said 4 o'clock.
Now, our communication was a little confusing, but last Tuesday and Thursday, you got the time mixed up and came here late, and I was late to work. Could you please write it down in a calendar, put it in your phone, so I don't have to worry about losing my job?
I can definitely do that. Can we also stick to one time unless we absolutely need to change it? It's the changes that confuse me.
Okay, I'll try to make things easy on you. And can we talk about what to do when Antoine is sick? Like last weekend, you kept him an extra day. Now, I am grateful that you took care of him, but I missed one of my days, and so I would like us to figure out if I can get an extra day this week.
Well, I don't really feel like I had an extra night with him since he was so sick and asleep most of the time. But if it's that important to you, how about you keep him this Friday? Does that work?
Thanks. I just miss him all the time.
Nice for me, and I miss him too. Yeah, but we're doing the best we can.
Yeah. What did you want to talk about? I think we should take him out of his activities right now. But we could only sign him up for one for next session. I think he likes karate best, so he'd be happy with that. What do you think?
Yeah, karate, I think that's the one he really likes the most anyway, so karate. Oh, and then the last thing is bedtime. Yeah, I know you're a night owl and you like to stay up late and everything. I'm just wondering if we could get on the same page, the 10 o'clock bedtime that we talked about.
I'll get him to bed by 10 o'clock. I've forgotten about your schedule, and so I didn't think about how his hours would affect you. I'm sorry about that.
Hey, it's cool, no problem. We just gotta keep talking, things are gonna come up.
No doubt. Well, look, I'll see you Saturday at noon. And thanks for talking.
All right, thanks. Bye.
I'm ready to go to karate, Mom.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay. So I can't tell your reactions to this video. But I will tell you that when we tested it with parents, some of them thought that, we can't be that perfect, right? We're just not going to be that perfect. And we said, we totally get it. We totally get it. But we do want to show you that there are better ways to communicate than the yelling at each other, right? So I understand that this is the idealized version, but we try to encourage parents to be as civil and productive as possible in those conversations. Okay. Module 3 is, and as I mentioned, there are other videos. There are other videos and in those modules, but we're just highlighting some of them now. So module 3 is about self-care, because we do understand that stressful times for parents can impact kids negatively, and that there are actually things that parents can do to help themselves feel better, and then by extension, help their kids navigate the new terrain. So we do, and we also talk about the different kinds of family dynamics that can occur after the breakup between the parents. And we talk about some issues like relationships after divorce. I remember in the first video where one of the kids said, or one of the young people said, don't start dating immediately right after your divorce, or don't get married to the first person that you start dating after the divorce. Some of the issues that we encourage parents to think about is sort of letting themselves heal, right? And reconstituting that family. Now it's a family that may have two different families, and there's blended families, and there are going to be different kinds of dynamics. And we want people to kind of get some, give themselves some space and time to heal before they move on. And thank you all for tolerating my electrical issues here. We have some resources. We have lots of resources. We have a toolbox for parents, and it's a parent education toolbox. We have ideas and handouts for family members. We talk about tools and techniques that professionals can use with parents who have broken up. Now, since what Al sent around said do's and don'ts, we thought we'd put a few do's and don'ts of managing conflict in this presentation. I mean, they are all very intuitive, right? Don't make your child choose sides, right? Don't speak negatively about your co-parent in front of the child. Don't ask your child to keep secrets or send messages back and forth. And those, the do's, of course, are really things about communicating openly and directly and discussing serious issues with the co-parent in private. And then also, and we're going to be transitioning to this issue now, sort of take a deep breath and realize that what you're going through does have an emotional impact on you, no matter the situation surrounding the breakup or divorce, that people need to give themselves some grace and some patience. But I did want to, since the title of this training was the do's and don'ts, I said, well, I better stick in some do's and don'ts. As I mentioned, when we first built this course back in 2016, 17, 18, we really stuck to the requirements of co-parent education, right? Co-parent education after divorce. And then we started realizing that we've got so many parents who have experienced trauma, who had experienced trauma in different parts of their lives, and the divorce was simply a new trauma. And all of the work that FSU is doing on trauma and resilience needed to also be communicated to co-parents. And this is important because I'm pretty sure everybody who's on the line today has had at least some training on trauma and resilience, the impact of trauma and the hope for resilience. And I totally appreciate the fact that this next section may be a little repetitive for you, but we do spend time trying to get parents to understand about their own emotions, their own emotional reactions, and how what they have gone through previously in their lives can be sort of part of and conflated with the trauma of the breakup. These are just some real talks that we have in our trauma and resilience section. We have a lot of people who are on FSU's campus who have these little audios. They're just little snippets, little audios where people are talking about some issues about emotions, emotional responses, and trauma. So the truth is that we have found in our research and feel very strongly about is that most co-parenting courses do not talk about trauma and the impact of trauma, let alone how to pivot into talking about resilience. And that might be news to you, right? That may be news to you. Because we do research, and then we hope that some of that research may impact policy. We have published in peer-reviewed journals information about the landscape of co-parent education across the United States. And I don't know if it'll be a surprise to you, but most of those courses don't talk about trauma and resilience because they're focused on the requirements of the state or the region. Right? So you get that, you understand that. But when you talk to parents, you are often talking to parents who have deep trauma. And now the divorce is just a new trauma. And so we really need to offer information to parents if we really genuinely want parents to heal and thrive, then having a discussion about trauma and having a discussion about resilience can be a nice new path to successful co-parenting. I know that may seem kind of, it's not one of the requirements pretty much anywhere. But if you think about it, just think about it, you'll understand that you know your clients have had trauma, and we know that many parents have had trauma, and that everybody is capable of developing resilience, and that would benefit the parent and the kids and the next generations, right? So that we are not perpetuating intergenerational trauma. Okay. When I talk about research, here is one article. We have talked about improving court-mandated divorce education by recognizing the effects of trauma. And if you want to read that article, there's a Digital Commons link down below if you want to read about judicial responses to the science of ACEs. I mean, you all know what I'm talking about with ACEs, but you're gonna get a little overview in a moment. And repairing that gap in post-divorce education. Okay. And now I'm going to show you a short little video that introduces parents to healing after trauma and ideas about trauma. Again, I know that everybody who's on this call, everybody who's in this webinar right now, you've had the training already. So this is going to be a little repetitive to you, but here's how you might want to introduce the concept to a client.
When you're going through a separation or divorce, or working out the shared parenting of your child, or adjusting to any major life change, life can be stressful. You may have had other stressors in your life, some harder to get over than others, but not all stress affects us in the same way. One source of toxic stress comes from adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. You might have experienced these growing up. It's important to learn about them. What are ACEs? ACEs include a variety of negative experiences, such as physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, parent abused in the home, physical neglect, emotional neglect, incarcerated household member, parental addiction, parental mental illness, parental separation or divorce, and witnessing violence. Most people have had some form of adverse childhood experience. Lots of people who had ACEs may not have gotten the help they need to deal with the impact of this trauma. When trauma is left unaddressed, these adverse experiences can have negative effects on adult mental and physical health. For example, having ACEs means people are at higher risk for problems like heart disease, cancer, asthma, autoimmune diseases, obesity, sleep problems, depression, anxiety, alcoholism, PTSD, suicide, drug abuse, mental illness. How does that happen? Chronic stress from exposure to a lot of ACEs can interfere with brain development responsible for important functions like problem solving, impulse control, and anger management. Even though this may sound scary and you're an adult now, the good news is that it is never too late to heal from the effects of toxic stress. It may be helpful to know that the unresolved trauma can make it harder to deal with stress later on in life. So if you find yourself struggling to cope with the challenges of divorce or learning to co-parent, don't blame yourself. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" try reflecting on what happened to me. It can be empowering to learn that there may be a reason why you're struggling. It can shed new light on your past experiences and motivate you to reach out for help when you need it. Even if you have never had any childhood trauma, understanding how stress affects children's development can help you make smart co-parenting decisions for your own children now. Because a divorce or separation can be stressful for your children, just like it is a source of stress for you. You play a very important role by providing a safe, supportive environment and helping your children to develop their own coping skills. Your nurturing relationship with your children is the foundation of their resilience. This knowledge can inspire you to make the best of this time of transition and change. Remember, growing up in a safe and nurturing environment supports your child's development. As you move through the rest of this training, you will learn new skills to help you overcome adversity and ease the stress of co-parenting. We hope you spend some time finding the resources that work best for you and your family, because everyone deserves to be happy and healthy.
Okay, so one of the reactions when we show parents that video is sort of this, sort of phew, like, oh my goodness, this makes a lot of sense to me, right? And so when we talk about trauma, we also need to be ready to provide folks with local resources when they do want to find ways to cope with trauma. If you've got community mental health services, if you've got church or religious community resources on groups on co-parenting or groups on dealing with your stress or your traumatic history. If you've got referrals to other resources in your community, it's really important if you're working with families to know what resources are available to them. So that would include behavioral health, right, mental health, and physical health, and also the spiritual component, because you're going to have families who are going to want to talk to their pastors, right, or going to talk to their religious leaders, and try to process some of that that trauma. Okay, there's a lot more on the issues of trauma in the training, but we're also going to pivot, because we like to do this, about resilience, right? What is resilience? And the fun fact and the good news, as the video said, is there's a lot of hope for building resilience no matter your prior experiences.
Welcome, parents, to the Co-Parenting Toolkit on Resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from negative experiences. Maybe you didn't know it, but every experience in our lives, good or bad, helps to shape who we are. Think of these experiences as stepping stones towards strength and resilience. When you think about the past, you may realize that you are stronger than you think because of your life experiences. Think back to when you were younger and the people who helped you as you were growing up. Did a parent or caregiver pick you up after falling down? Did anyone ever inspire you to reach for new goals? Did someone recognize that you had a talent or special ability? Now think of your life as an adult. Have family members helped you care for your children? Have your friends ever cheered you up on difficult days? Do you have a hobby or sport that brings you joy? Have you worked hard even when you felt like quitting? Even if you didn't notice it, all of these small victories help you develop inner strength. If you have supportive relatives, friends, co-workers, and other meaningful relationships in your life, they might have helped you get to where you are today. Recognizing the strengths you possess and the challenges you have already faced makes current and future obstacles seem less scary. We know that going through a divorce and learning how to co-parent is tough, but you have already made progress toward creating a more positive future for you and your family. Maybe you've started making a co-parenting plan for your children, or perhaps you've begun mediation. Moving forward, even when it's hard, shows how capable you truly are. Research tells us that resilience is not a rare gift. It is a gradual discovery of our own personal strengths and unique talents. This means that we can all use our natural abilities and experiences to navigate rough patches. So keep going. Stay connected with friends and family. Make sure you're getting enough rest. Eat nutritious food and stay physically active. Meditate or practice mindfulness. Get outside. Find the self-care routine that's right for you. You may be facing a lot of unknowns right now, which can cause fear or anxiety. That's normal. But part of becoming more resilient is using what you already know to make a difficult situation a little easier. So think about what has helped you in the past. Try calling a friend who you trust. Get advice from family members. Seek guidance in your faith or from a counselor. Spend quality time with your children. Identify your needs and your children's needs. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. Focus your energy on furthering your own goals and interests. Laugh often. Be creative, flexible, and open to change. These skills will support you on your path to developing a healthy co-parenting relationship. We hope that this brief introduction to resilience has shown you that you do have what it takes to get through the changes you're experiencing right now, and any future challenges that may come your way. And remember, each new day is a new opportunity to build on your strengths. The rest of this co-parenting training is designed to teach you about the importance of successful co-parenting and give you the chance to learn new skills to make this a reality. We believe in you and are excited about the possibilities for you and your family as you move forward.
Yes, and that's the citation. It's co-parenting with.
Welcome, parents.
Whoops.
Welcome, parents.
Hello, sorry. It's co-parenting without the hyphen. Okay, so this is a fun part, and I know we're gonna kind of go through this last part quickly, so in case you have questions. Al, you can send everyone the handout, so you guys can print out this handout. Remember how the video said you already have so many components of resilience and you can build more. And resilience is not a fixed trait. It's not something that you're just either born with, you either have or you don't have. It's something that you can build every day. And this little handout that Al is sending you in the chat is like, okay, well, what are the components of resilience? What is resilience? The resilience is just the ability to bounce back. And when you talk to people, they say, oh, I'm a mess. Okay, all right, it's all right. You are a mess at a difficult time. Okay, you can feel like a mess. But let's talk about what you do have, what your strengths are. Maybe you have a sense of belonging, right? You feel connected to other people. You have family that you feel connected with. You have that flexibility. You believe that good things are going to happen in the future. You understand that life isn't perfect and that good things are ahead. You have character. You have meaning or purpose in life. Maybe you have a moral compass or you have religious values. You have learned some coping skills. You do know that you have ways to function and to connect with other people and to feel better on your own. And then connection, having a role model, having social support, really important. Just remember that we are wired as human beings to be connected to other people. So that breakage in the relationship is important, and it does affect your brain, right? So we want to make sure that people do have connection to others because we are wired as human beings to be connected. So this handout is just something that you might want to take a look at and maybe share with your clients. Things that you can do: understand the need for resources and know the resources in your community. Share resources about trauma and resilience and about FSU's co-parenting trainings. And I'm going to spend 1 minute. I know we've got a URL down at the bottom, but you can take your phone if you want and take pictures of the QR code. We do offer professional certifications. FSU offers multidisciplinary professionals, a professional certification in trauma and resilience. We have a level 1 and a level 2. And thousands of people professionals have taken our trainings to enhance their professional abilities. We also have a professional certification in human trafficking prevention and intervention, in case you want to take a picture of that one, skew that one, or look at the URL. And then we also have a very popular, and this is our newest, a professional certification in the fundamentals of neurodiversity. You all are probably hearing lots of conversations, and lots of people, and maybe in your own families, you have people who are neurodivergent. And learning how to support and accommodate and encourage your neurodivergent selves, family members, friends, and clients to thrive, whether they are neurodivergent or neurotypical. So I just wanted to let you all know about those resources